Hey, hey, everyone. I'll be right there. Well, that's weird. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to come in. Hey guys, what's going on? Shadows of the Moon here, coming at you live, getting everything all set. So today I was going to talk about urban legends, okay? Now, you gotta love a good urban legend. So let's get this party started.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.
What is going on? I froze up for a minute there. There we go. There we go. How you guys doing? What's going on? So like I said, we are talking urban legends today. And as always, everyone is invited to come up on panel. So if you would like to come up on panel and share your urban legend, I'd love to have you. Anyway, so what's going on with urban legends? I don't know. I was watching a show last night and I was just like, you know what? I don't remember this. And I wonder if anybody else does. So I was watching a show about who was a gamer back in the 80s, who went to arcades, had fun, spending all those freaking quarters trying to beat the game. I'm telling you, I spent a lot of money in the arcade back in the day. So there was one particular game that was supposedly made in 1981. And people remember it, but the gaming industry says it was never made. Excuse me, sorry. Still getting over this cough. Yay. Anyway, what's going on is this game. Does anybody remember the game Polybius? Now, apparently it was an all-black cabinet. And people think it was built by the government. So I'll read what Wikipedia says about it, which is Polybius is a fictionist arcade game, the subject of an urban legend that supposedly first emerged in the early 1981. It has served as an inspiration for several free and commercial games by the same name. The original game allegedly was part of a government-run, crowdsourced psychology experiment based in Portland, Oregon. Gameplay supposedly produced intense psychoactive and addictive effects of the players. Okay? These few publicly staged arcade machines were said to have been visited periodically by the Men in Black for purpose of data mining the machines and analyzing these effects. Eventually, all the Polybius arcade machines allegedly disappeared from the arcade market. So apparently what happened is these arcade games started showing up in different areas of arcades, and every once in a while the Men in Black would come in, and instead of going in the front where you'd go to extract the coins or whatnot, they would go in the back and get all this data that was run, or update their program or what. Because in the back, that's where the motherboard was, the memory, all that sort of stuff. But the weird thing is everybody's denying it existed, but people know it existed, right? Now, and not only on top of that, the government also stated that they were not data mining. They were apparently arcade owners would, you know, pay out top winners, the ones that had the high score, right? So their excuse for these men in black to come in was to take pictures of the games to make sure that because that was a legal form or an illegal form of gambling, that arcade owners couldn't pay out for top scores, right? So if they made that whole story up for a game that didn't exist, something's kind of weird there. Let me continue reading for you guys. An entity or an entry for the title was added to arcade game resource coinop.org on February 6, 2000. The entry mentions the name Polybius and a copyright date of 1981, although no such copyright ever has been registered. The author of the entry claims in the department to be in possession of a ROM image of the game and to have extracted fragments of text from it, including 1991 or 1981. Hold on, I got to get my German out. Schlichtlichen. That's the maker of the game. The remainder of the information about the game listed as unknown and is about describes bizarre rumors that make up the legend. Now, the people that made it apparently was this German company, right? And the weird thing about it is that the word that I just said, what just happened? That was weird. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Of course, anything that can happen will happen, right? Especially when you're alive. Well, get in there. Hello, there we go. So this word, since sloshing, right, is said to the German meaning of it is sense delete. Right there should throw a red flag, right? But anyway, hey Outdoors, how you doing? What's going on? Thanks for stopping in. So we're sitting here talking about urban legends, right? Outdoor encounters. By any chance, did you play arcade games in the 80s? You know, the huge arcade I'm doing good, thanks. The huge arcade cabinets. Kid games? Okay. Well, we're talking about there's an urban legend about the game Polybius. And I'm just reading from the Wikipedia page right now. But so to go on, it says the story tells of an unheard of a new arcade game appearing in several suburbans of Portland, Oregon in 1981. Okay, I was born in 73, so I grew up playing in the arcades. Something on the ranity of that time. The game is described as proving popular to the point of addiction, with lines forming around the machines, often resulting in fighting over who would play next. The urban legend describes how the machines were visited by men in black who collected unknown data from the machines, allegedly testing response to the game's psychoactive effects. Players supposedly suffered from severe unpleasant side effects, including amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. Approximately 1 month after its supposed release in 1981, Polybius is said to have disappeared without a trace. The company named in the most accounts is the Schinschlin, the German name that I can't pronounce. Is, like I said, the word described by writer Brian Dunning is not so quite idiomatic German, meaning sense delete or sensory deprivation. These meanings are derived from sin, which means senses, and issuin, to extinguish or to delete. Some time prior to 2003, Kurt Collard, the owner of CoinOp.org, submitted a tip-off of the video game magazine GamePro about Polybius. Polybius then appeared in the September 2003 issue of GamePro as part of a feature story on video games called Secrets and Lies. This is the first known printed mention of the game, exposing the legend to the mass-marketed audience. The article declared the existence of the game to be inconclusive, helped to both spark curiosity and spread the story. Following the appearance in GamePro magazine, a number of people claimed to have some involvement with Polybius. In 2006, a man named Steve Roach claimed he had been one of the original programmers and that his company developed a game with very intense and cutting-edge graphics. Now, I did know, I have heard that with Polybius, they had, I think this was the beginning of arcade games being able to give seizures because of the lights and everything going on. And I think that's where all that started, the warning on the video games about could cause seizures and stuff like that. Don't quote me on that, but it sounds like that's where that might have came from. But apparently this game never existed, right? So how the hell did we get a warning in today's effect that these games might do that? But these kids were having, night terrors and everything from this game. However, according to Roach, a boy experienced an epileptic seizure while playing, and the cabinets were withdrawn by the company in panic. Although Roach offered no proof of his claims, his story added detail to the gameplay, which later inspired Rogue Synapses' game based of the legend. So, like I said, they're saying that this game never exists, so why is all this information out there about it? The original game's existence has never been proven. Snopes claims that to have debunked the existence of game as a modern-day version in the 1980s rumors of the Men in Black visiting arcade games and taking down the names of high scores at the arcade games. Again, what I had said before about the FBI coming in and checking the scores, taking pictures of the scores because the owners of the arcade game were giving out cash money for getting the high score when that was illegal back then. Well, it still is today unless you got a gaming permit. So that's where that came in from. But I don't know, because people were coming out saying that Polybius, they weren't in the front of the games. They were in the back of the games where the data and stuff was. So it's a really crazy story. But this led to the hypothesis that the government was hosting some sort of experiments and sending subliminal messages to players. Excuse me. Magazines of the time period dedicated to electronic gaming made no mention of Polybius, and mainstream news also fails to note such a game. While a number of mock-up cabinets and games inspired in the myths do exist, no authentic cabinets or ROM dumps have ever been located. Ben Silverman of Yahoo Games remarked, "Unfortunately, there is no evidence that the game ever existed. No less turned its users into babbling lunatics. Still, Polybius has enjoyed cut-like status as a throwback to more technological, paranoid era. So it's just, I don't know. I can't remember the game. Of course, I didn't play in a lot of arcades. There was like one arcade that had like 10 games in it and a pool table. So, I mean, that was our only, I came from a small town. But skeptics and researchers had different ideas on how the story of Polybius came about. The American producer and author Brian Dunning believed Polybius to be an urban legend that grew out of a mixture of influences in the 1980s. He notes that two players fell ill in Portland on the same day in 1981. One collapsed with a migraine headache after playing Tempest, and I really haven't looked into that game because they keep bringing that up a lot too. They think people are getting the names confused, but I don't see getting the names confused with Tempest and Polybius. And another suffering from stomach pain after playing Asteroids for 28 hours in a filmed attempt to break the world record. But I think that's different from playing what they're associating playing Polybius from. I mean, Dunning records that the Federal Bureau of Investigations raided several video arcades in the area just 10 days later, where the owners were suspected of using machines for gambling, and that led up to the raid involving FBI agents monitoring arcade cabinets for signs of tampering and recording high scores. Dunning suggests that these two events were combined in an urban legend about government monitoring arcade games, making players ill. My take on this, and this just could be from, everything that I've read and I've seen about Polybius, I believe the game existed. And I believe that it could definitely, my take on it now, and I haven't really looked into this, but my take on it is basically that I'm not sure exactly when, like, subliminal messages came in existence, like with our commercials, because we all know that there's commercials that have subliminal messages and such like that in it. I'm wondering if they were starting it out then. And I'd have to do more research on, and we all know I love to research, to see if this is when, around the time, or at least a couple years ahead or prior, that subliminal messages were invented. And I'm just wondering if this video game was a test to see if it would work. I mean, you look at it this way, and the program that I watched last night brought up a good point. They were talking to a hypnotist, right? And she said, think about billboards. When we're driving down the road, we're in a trance, and those billboards are going by. And even though we're not, we're paying attention to the road or whatnot, we're still in a hypnotrance to where they influence you a lot more than you think. Subliminal messages in marketing. We all know that's there. So I'm wondering if Polybius was just a way of testing it. And it turned wrong. Not turned wrong, but, it backfired to where it was giving these kids ideas, Like, I mean, if you look at other arcade games, and believe me, I am not dissing arcade games. I'm not dissing any games because I am a gamer. I love playing games. I could play video games. I could become addicted if I wanted to. But look at the arcade game Tank. They actually use that game to teach people, the army, how to drive tanks. So what's to say that this Polybius wasn't a mastermind of to see how if and how subliminal messages worked? I think I'm going to research that more. I was thinking about it last night, and I'm surprised I didn't research it. I could have been just too tired. Who the hell knows? Never know with me. So, this one guy, also, I found this little article that talks about Polybius, and he says he thinks that the video game was actually Cube Quest. Cube Quest was released in 1983, and it was truly groundbreaking. He said he loved playing it at his local arcade. Keep in mind that in 1983, computer graphics were pretty mediocre, and which they were. We all know that. There were vector video games from like Tempest, which consists of coloring the lines on a screen, or colored lines drawing on a screen. Other examples of popular vector games were Asteroids and Battlezone. Fun games for sure, but they looked visually like primitive line drawings. The other options of the games were computer graphics, were raster, where the picture was made up of tiny blocks. Pixelation, right? You can see the raster pixelation and blocky characters in games such as Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. Unfortunately, you can't mix the two types of video screens, even now. Computer monitors can either be manufactured as a vector or a raster. So, except for minor attempts at commercial vector screens like portable Vectrex video system, all home monitors are raster. So he thinks Polybius was actually Cube Quest. I don't remember Cube Quest either, and I think it was because it was before my time. I mean, I was born in, like I said, 73, so yeah, so that was my first thing. So do you guys remember playing Polybius? Leave me a message down in the comments below. Or do you remember playing Cube Quest? Was it anything like that? If you played Polybius, please let me know. I would really love to know if you had any of these symptoms like night terrors or anything like that. I would really love to know. On to the next. So, urban legends, right? We all have them in every state. So I figured I would talk about the urban legends in different states. So if you guys live in these states, you can go check them out. Maybe if it loads for me. So we have Alabama is the first one. And that's Hell's Gate Bridge. It says the generally accepted story of Hell's Gate Bridge starts in 1950s. A young couple driving over the bridge somehow drove their car off the bridge one night and both drowned. Now, there are two legends associated with Hell's Gates Bridge. One, that if you drive your car out in the middle of the bridge and turn off the lights, the couple will magically appear in front of your car and leave a wet spot on the seat. Oh, they will appear in your car. And see, this is why urban legends are creepy. And leave a wet spot on the seat. The other is, which is how the bridge got its name, is the belief that you've driven over the bridge and look over your shoulder halfway through, the scenery behind you turns into a portal to hell engulfed in flames. Potentially to curb ghost hunters and bored teenagers, Hell's Gate is closed to cars, and in such despair that walking across is strongly discouraged. I would love to check it out, though, to see if there's any vibes. I think we all should get together and do a poll. Not do a poll, but pool our money together and like take a trip to every urban legend place. That would be a hell of a road trip, wouldn't it? I wonder if we could make that happen. That would be awesome. We'll go in line. Well, no, we won't go in line because that would be wicked long. The next one is Alaska. Kushtaka. I should have asked my native friends um how they said it, or how they say that, of the Alaskan Triangle. So everyone knows the story of the Bermuda Triangle, but you might not know the Alaskan Triangle, which I live in, by the way. Yes. On average, 5 of every 1,000 people go missing in Alaska. To me, it's not all about it's not all about like the Bermuda Triangle. To me, there's bears here. There's a moose here. There's a lot of wild animals. This is like living in safari of the cold. Um, According to LA Times, so even if there's nothing supernatural going on, it's easy to get lost in Alaska wilderness. The Chin I don't want to destroy this name, and I'm sorry. I apologize for everybody. The Tulingi Tlingit tribe that lives in Juneau has their own explanation for the high amount of missing people. They say it's evil spirits called the Kushtaka. The Kushtaka, I've actually heard of that, and I don't know why. Um, the Kushtaka are shapeshifters, half man, half otter, that lure women and children into the water with fake cries in order to steal a human spirit and drown them. That's the first time I've heard of that one. I mean, I've heard of the Alaskan play, but that's the first time I've heard of that. Arizona, the ghosts of Slaughterhouse Canyon. Why would you name a canyon Slaughterhouse? I don't know. Okay. The story of Slaughterhouse Canyon takes place during the gold rush. During the 1800s, there was a family who lived down in the canyon. They're very, very poor, so the father would venture out into the canyon for food for his family. As you might have guessed, one day the father did not return, so the family slowly starved and descended into madness. The mother, unable to bear listening to her children's cries anymore, put on her wedding dress, murdered her children, and then threw them into a nearby river. The next day, she succumbed to starvation herself. The legend states that if you go to Slaughterhouse Canyon at night, even now, you will hear the loud, anguished cries of the mother who lost her mind. Kind of creepy. Arkansas, the Boggy Creek Monster. So the Boggy Creek Monster of folk is Arkansas's version of the Sasquatch. He's commonly accepted to be around 7 or 8 feet tall and covered in hair. Legend says that he roams the creeks of rural Arkansas. He was first spotted in 1834 when people were reporting seeing a wild man. People still claim to spot the Boggy Creek Monster today, and he's been the subject of 5 feature-length films, including 1972's The Legend of Boggy Creek. Well, we'll have to go there to check it out. Excuse me. California, the Charman. I've never heard of this one either. The Boggy Creek Monster I've heard of. Or the Slaughterhouse I haven't heard of either. The Charman's origin story is gruesome. A father and son were both caught on a house fire and horribly burnt in 1948. After the fire, the son became so mentally unstable that he flayed and hung his father. When the police found the son, he was so unrecognizably burnt they couldn't realize he was alive. So he ran away before they were able to arrest him for the murder of his father. Ever since then, the Charman is still spotted watering the woods surrounding Ojai, occasionally approaching tents of innocent campers or pretending to be a hitchhiker and then attempting to attack them. If any of you guys are from any of these states, obviously, um, and you've heard of these stories or you've heard of these legends, please let me know. I would love to know. Colorado, the many legends of Riverdale Road. Riverdale Road is the site of not one, but 8 creepy stories. Damn, Colorado, what are you doing over there? Ranging from a hellgate to ghosts of slaves hanging from the trees. The deaths, the stretch of road is decidedly spooky. The creepiest story, though, is that of the phantom jogger. One day there was a driver who hit a jogger, freaked out, and left him for dead. Now it's said if you park at the site of the crash, you will hear disembodied footsteps getting closer and closer to your car. People have reported handprints on the window and banging noise as someone was kicking the outside. Pretty creepy stuff over there in Colorado. But one day, I'm telling you, I'm going to get this road trip. Hit all these spots. Connecticut, Hannah Cranna. Known as the Wicked Witch of Monroe, Hannah Cranna gained a reputation as a witch in the 19th century when her husband died of mysterious falling off a cliff. Locals reportedly believed that she had bewitched him. People also believed that she would cast spells on people she didn't like. Hannah lived to the age of 77, but right before she died, she asked to be carried down to the cemetery in her coffin by foot, not wagon. After her death, the people of Monroe tried to wheel her coffin down the hill, but were unable to. The coffin kept falling off, so they were forced to carry it. When the townspeople returned to her home, it was found to be engulfed in flames. And that sealed Hannah's reputation of being a witch. Wow. Crazy stuff. These are wild. Delaware, the ghost of Mr. Chew. While not a particularly mean-spirited ghost, the story of Samuel Chew is still disconcerting. Chew was the Chief Justice of the Delaware Supreme Court in 1741. My throat's getting a little dry. Sorry, guys. While he was alive, he didn't always get the respect he deserved. People frequently made fun of his name by mimicking sneezes while he walked by. Get it? Chew, a chew. After his death, people reportedly seeing his ghost sitting under a popular tree, wandering the courthouse, and generally creeping out residents of Dover. Chew would also pull on men's coattails and give women an icy cold feeling. I've heard of that one before. I read it somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where I read it, but I did read that. But I read a different story, where his ghost is mean. And every time you're around there and if you sneeze and you say chew, that something about he would call upon the demons to attack you or something. Don't quote me on that, but I did remember reading it somewhere. Florida, the gravity-defying Spook Hill. The phenomenon that happens at Spook Hill is real. Cars that are parked in neutral will appear to roll uphill. Now, we've all heard this. We know how it works, at least some of us. But legends say the hill is either the site of Native American burial ground or an epic battle of Native American chief against a crocodile. but in truth, it's actually just an illusion created by the hill's surroundings. While cars appear to be rolling uphill, they're just rolling downhill. Um, there's a couple places where that happens, where it's just an illusion. But it's pretty wild to experience because it looks like you're going uphill, but you're actually going downhill. It's very weird how things like that work. Georgia, the ghost town of Lake Lanier. At the bottom of Lake Lanier lies almost a fully intact towns, ferries, and racetracks, and multiple cemeteries. The government, in their determination to create Lake Lanier, brought up an entire towns in order to clear the space for the lake after they received the congressional approval in 1946. However, they just decided to let the water cover up the towns rather than demolishing them. Now, I've heard of this. I've heard of Lake Lanier. And I've heard of people, the town actually being there. Now, Lake Lanier has decidedly eerie feel about it. There have been an unusual amount of freak accidents and deaths on the lake. In 2011, there was 17 deaths alone. That's crazy. Many of the people who drowned there have been recovered. People have reported feeling arms and legs in the water. Nope, won't go swimming there. But have not been able to find them right after, leading people to believe that it's the spirits still roam the lake. Yeah, if people are, no, I'm telling you right now, I love the water. I love swimming. I grew up on a lake. If I'm feeling somebody grab my leg, oh, hell no. I'm just saying. Just saying. Hawaii night marchers. Heard of night marchers? And I don't know if it's because it's a native thing, but night marchers scare the hell out of me. Night marchers, according to Hawaii lore, are not evil spirits, but they do demand respect. They are spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors who marched around the islands to protect the sacred areas. Legends say that if you look directly at a night marcher, you will be marked for death. And if by some chance you find yourself in the middle of a procession, you're supposed to lie down in the middle of the road. I'd be hitting the road, definitely. For some reason, night marchers, just the tail of that, I think because I have some Hawaiian friends and their land is still sacred to them. I mean, they still have elders, and everything. And I see how they respect the land as it is now in this day and age. And I definitely believe that there's night marchers and there's protectors. Yeah, all over Hawaii, definitely. Idaho, the water babies of Massacre Rock, or Rocks. Massacre Rocks. Water babies are Native American legend that are found in a couple different places in America, but most famously in Portocella of Massacre Rock State Park. Pocatello. Sorry if I butchered these names. The Shoshin tribe first recorded in 1805 and were roaming the Great Plains as early as the 1500s. So it's not clear when exactly this legend originated, but the story goes that the Shoshin experienced an extreme famine, and mothers were forced to drown their babies in the river rather than to watch their children starve. Today, some people claim that if you sit quietly at the river by Massacre Rock, you will hear the sounds of babies crying. Other stories say that these babies will grow gills and fins and survive. And now they are seeking revenge on their mothers by luring unsuspected victims to their death in the river. I'm telling you what. When it's got to do with water, nope. Just not happening. Just not happening. I don't even know what time it is. Okay, 10:47. We're still good. We'll do a couple more and then I'll get out of here. We'll save some more for next time. Illinois. Oh, hell no. Well, I'm not scared of clowns, but if you are, you might want to listen up, especially if you live in Illinois. Illinois has Homie the Clown. Wonder if that's where Damon Wayans got his. I wonder. All throughout the suburbs of Chicago in the 90s, there was a consistent rumor going around elementary schools that there was a creepy man dressed as Homie the Clown. Yes, from Living Color, driving around in a white van trying to lure kids with candy and money. In some variations, he was a kidnapper. In others, he was a rapist. But in all variations, Homie left a mark on young Chicago kids in the 1990s. Okay, so he got his mark from there. I thought it was the other way around, but you know. I wonder if he acted like Homie the Clown from In Living Color. Who knows? That's crazy, though. That's crazy. Indiana, the 100 Steps Cemetery. I've heard of this, and I so want to go there. The 100 Steps Cemetery is located in the town of Brazil. Through the official address is actually disputed. While it's not clear where the stories around the cemetery being haunted begin, there are gravestones that date back to the 1860s. The legend states that if someone finds themselves in the cemetery at midnight, they must climb the steps and count to 100. At this point, a ghost of the Undertaker, hey, drugular, hopefully I said that name right, didn't. The legend states if someone finds themselves in the cemetery at midnight, they must climb the steps and count to 100. At this point, a ghost of an Undertaker will appear and show the person a vision of their death. On the way back down, the visitor is supposed to count the steps again. If they count the same amount of the vision was people who visited the cemetery in the past have tried to outsmart the supernatural forces in 100 steps by avoiding steps altogether. They reported being knocked or shoved to the ground by unseen forces. Iowa, the Black Angel stands over 8 feet tall in Oakland Cemetery in Iowa City. Okay, got it. Sorry. And it's eerily black due to oxidation. I can't talk today. Anyway, most likely because of her dark appearance, multiple legends have cropped up around her. One legend says that a pregnant woman should never walk under her or she'll lose the child. Others say that if you touch or kiss the statue, you'll be dead in 6 months. Whether haunted, cursed, or completely harmless, the statue is definitely a somber sight to see. And one that I would probably not try to defy. I'm telling you, I would love to take a trip and just go to all these spots. Kansas, the Devil's Chair. The legend of the Devil's Chair goes like this. An old farmer in Alma refused to sell his land to the city in order to build a new cemetery. Someone got a little too tired of waiting for him to sell, so he was pushed into his own well. Eventually, someone said that there was a terrible smell coming from the well, so the city sent someone to investigate. It was ruled that the well was empty and it was Oh, no, it doesn't even say emptied. Okay. It was ruled that the well was empty and it was boarded up. Now, if you make your way to Elma, you can actually sit on the boarded up well, but legend says that people who have sat on the well have been known to mysteriously disappear. Kentucky, the goat man of Pope Lick. There's no clear census on how Goatman came to be. Some say he was a circus freak, others said he was a farmer who tortured his goats for Satan, and in return was transformed into a hideous goat monster. However, everyone does agree on his appearance: dark fur, pale skin, goat legs, and horns. The monster is said to hide under the bridge in Pope Lick Creek in Louisville and lured people into the train tracks, only to see them get hit by an oncoming train. Sadly, the urban legend has had some dangerous consequences. In 2016, an old woman fell to her death from the bridge while looking for the goat man. That's pretty creepy. Oh, Louisiana, the Grunch. Now, I read that wrong and I thought it said the Grinch. It's like it lives. Grunch Road is an old dirt road that leads deeper into the woods and eventually into a dead end. It was a favorite place for teenagers to go and do whatever teenagers do, until they learned about the Grunch. The Grunch is rumored to be a group of deformed, half-human, half-monsters that resulted from years of isolation in the Louisiana bayou. In the present day, it's said if you find yourself on Grunch Road, don't get out of your car. And if you see a goat who looks injured, continue to stay in your car. The story said that the Grunch uses goats to lure people out of their cars so they can eat them and drain their blood. That's creepy. Now, I've heard of this one. This is in Maine, and it's the stain on Jonathan Buck's tomb. The tomb of Colonel John Buck in Bucksport bears a mysterious leg-shaped stain. The story goes that Buck sentenced a woman to burn for witchcraft, and while she was burning, the leg rolled out of the fire. It's been said that the witch cursed Buck's tomb to always bear a stain for this injustice. It is said that people have tried to get rid of the stain twice, but the stain keeps reappearing. It's definitely creepy. All right, guys, I am going to get out of here. We will continue this next week to see if you live in any of these states, let me know. I want to know if you guys have been to these places. And I would love to definitely, that would be such an idea to go to these different states. I'm telling you. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching, liking, subbing, all that good stuff, But I guess I'll see you tomorrow for Tarot Card Reading Tuesday. Coffee and cards. All right, guys. Have a great day. Take care.